Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Intellabridge's channel. We're sitting here once again with John and a whole host of interesting people. We're going to get to everybody, but first off, we got to kick off this announcement for the open beta. John, please tell us more.
Yeah, so we're very pleased to announce today our private beta launch today, and we're going to be opening up the waitlist to customers over the next weeks. Basically, what it means to be on a private beta is that we've actually launched the product on mainnet, on Terra's mainnet. So these are real transactions. The product is fully deployed and operational, and transactions are being broadcasted on the Terra blockchain. And so now I think Craig will take you through a demo of the product so you can take a look at what we're launching.
So yeah, thanks a lot. Happy to introduce the beta version. We've been working very closely with our users in the alpha period to get all the great feedback from them and use it to evolve the product. And what we've essentially got here is a really interesting aggregation of all the fantastic products and protocols that are available within the Terra ecosystem. So the idea is to be able to aggregate across all the accounts. And we've then got some key functions that people are able to do, which, in order to transfer and add and on-ramp and all the important things with these products. And what we've then got underneath is the delineation into the various areas that people are used to from a day-to-day banking point of view. So we have our checking account, and that contains all of the main stable coins that are within Terra, as well as what will be coming up soon will be things like DAI will be supporting. We've also got the savings account, and this is now where people are able to interact with Anchor, which is a fantastic component, which we're going to see a lot of activity around, particularly from other blockchains. And then we've got our investments account. So this is an abstraction on the Mirror protocol. It's a fantastic way for people to then interact with various assets and get exposure to products, financial products that normally they wouldn't be able to in particular markets. So this is a very exciting area. And then finally, just by way of quick introduction, we've got our card account, which is going to be a debit card, which is on its way. That's an integration and a process that's ongoing right now. And that will then give people the ability to use that card in day-to-day retail situations, which is really exciting. It's a great way to then be able to, for example, make money on the interest of the Anchor and then go and spend that. So it's that complete vision and that complete solution. That's very much what Terra is about. Providing that full life cycle of being able to, move money around and then transact with it. So let's get into a little bit of detail around some of the key functionality. So one of the things that people always ask about initially is, how do we get money in? How do we get funds in? So in this version, and we're going to have additional on-ramps incoming. For this particular one, we've partnered with Transact. And they've got a really great product that allows us to choose a lot of different currencies that we're going to convert from. And in this, in this scenario, let me just go back. We are just operating with Luna, which is fantastic. It's a really good, easy currency to work with. And as we proceed and as more items become supported, we'll just be adding those. So it's really exciting. Every few weeks, there's more and more things that are possible and that can be supported. So in this kind of situation, I would just go ahead and choose, say, I'm going to do euros. And I could say, for example, I want to do 100. And I can do a bank transfer, which is very efficient, great way to do it, low fees. And I would then go ahead and my wallet is already loaded there. So this is ready to go with the Kash wallet that we've set up. And it's a question from here of just going through a light KYC. So within certain bounds of amounts, one doesn't necessarily need to do full KYC. And within a couple of minutes, we've got Luna that are ready to be used within the system. So I'm just going to jump out of that. And we'll go and take some examples of some of the transactions. So listed here, my top 10 holdings, really nice way of just knowing where everything is at. So in this example, I've got quite a lot in Luna. And I think what I'll do is for this, I'm going to sell a few Luna, and then I'm going to use some of those funds to do a deposit in Anchor. So for this, let's just say we're going to sell 5 Luna, and it will just do a calculation of the price and the fees. So it's busy calculating right now. So very neat, low fees, nice and efficient. And we go ahead and confirm that. And at this point, the DApp is talking directly to the blockchain. There's no servers involved, no backends, no databases, none of that. It's a straight communication, takes a few seconds straight through to the blockchain, and then that transaction is broadcast on the mainnet. So from that, I've now got 30 UST I can play around with, and I'm going to take advantage of the excellent interest rates that are available within Anchor. So immediately, I always want to be putting as much as possible into this as we go along. So I can, for example, just put 10 UST as a simple transaction, and we go ahead and we'll confirm that. And again, straight communication onto the blockchain. So these are ways that people have of utilizing their funds. It can be a savings transaction, which is going to get excellent interest and just keep going. Or I can, feel a little bit more sort of speculative around the investments. Let's take a look at what's coming through on Mirror. There's some excellent assets here. What we've done is we've categorized them. So made it really easy for people to understand where things are in terms of the general assets that are around. We've got ETFs, which people are really happy about. They want to see a lot more of these. That was some of the feedback. And then there's the blockchains, which are the synthetic versions of Bitcoin, etc. For this example, I'll go ahead and buy an asset, types of things that people like and are excited by. Netflix, I use that a lot, so I may as well go and get that. And I can, for example, just go and do a quick purchase of 10 UST of Netflix. Let's get that. And again, the same process. And even though the stock is quite high, I can get a small amount, so I can get fractional ownership of it, which is great. People can spend what they can afford and what they're happy to do. And with a few clicks in this whole process, we've been able to move money in and then be able to do interesting things with it. All of it abstracting, as we said, the user from the complexity of some of these protocols and the fact that they are quite independent. But this aggregation system is a really good way of then bringing it all together, giving people sort of things that they're familiar with in terms of the way that they are referenced, but essentially underneath is access to the various protocols. And so with that, it's been good to show you some of these capabilities. And I'll hand back to John and any questions from you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'd like to just open it up. Ronald and Sergio, if you'd like to ask questions. Michael as well.
All right, I guess I'll just start it off by saying that the user interface looks really, really friendly. It's very sleek, and it looks like something people wouldn't have a lot of problems using. So congrats on that. It looks pretty wonderful.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's an evolution, and it's involved a lot of feedback from the users. People are really excited about this product, so they've been wanting to, be involved, and that's been fantastic about the alpha rollout now into the beta. Is there was such valuable data and information that came from people and allowed us to prioritize, because in any development situation, everyone wants everything, and it's about just working out the optimal sequence. It's like a Chinese puzzle, trying to work out exactly how to unlock the system. But it's been great to have all the feedback and all the excitement. There's a lot of people who are really happy to start to now play around with mainnet. Testnet has been fantastic, and we learned a lot from it. And now we actually get to, for example, get the great interest rate, all those kinds of things. So yeah, it's very exciting times.
Awesome. This is Ronald over here. I have a question about kind of the transition from the alpha testing to the beta testing right now. I'd love to learn some of the greatest insights or learnings you got from alpha testing, either from a user or just what you've noticed on the back end about like usage statistics or patterns or whatnot, and how you took an example learning into what you're currently showing today.
Great question. I think there was a lot of interest in Mirror. It is something that's quite interesting for people and new, and people have heard about that capability of being able to work with synthetic assets. And there was a lot of great feedback around just how it was split up and the segmentation of it. So we listened to what people were saying in terms of expanding it out and providing more categories, and then the ability to search and work through it. So it was a way of just opening up that capability to people, and hearing the request from them, and this we'll feed back to the team, is people really want to get more ETFs. Generally, that's perceived as a great investment. Generally, those are aggregated investments. People like that. So they want to see more of those. But it was really interesting to work on the mirror side of things. And then also to hear from people around what they would like to see from an on-ramping point of view, how they want to move currency around between different apps, different exchanges. And a lot of the on-ramping and the transfer systems and just the flow that we came up with was based on what people were comfortable with, particularly first-time users with in the crypto world. People are not quite used to putting in those long addresses, whether they are Ethereum or Terra or whatever. And it's just getting them through those initial hurdles of just, okay, so that's how it works and that's fine. And we learned a lot just from, hand holding and getting people through that and using support. And once they were there, they were through it. So yeah, it's been, very interesting and a lot of things that we didn't necessarily think would be priority. And that was what people were keen on. So we then raised that up on the roadmap. But it's an ongoing process of evaluation. This next stage will now give us an insight into some very specific things that we are testing out.
And another follow-up question is, do you custody or own either the UST or the cash in the checking account or the synthetic stocks, any component of that? Whether it's holding it in your account or in the middle of a transfer process to another user, in which case this is kind of like a Celsius or like a BlockFi, CFI, or do you have custody of those assets yourselves? Or
So
do we have custody as ourselves as users?
no, so it's a yes, the user has access, not the application. So it is a true decentralized app. And all of those records of those assets are contained on the blockchain. We unlock it with a smart wallet, and then people are able to transact with it. But it is all within their own control. We just use the smart wallet to create a key to unlock it, and then they're able to do all the transactions. But none of this is stored anywhere other than within their own wallet, if you will, which is obviously a nebulous term in general ways, because we think about as a wallet in normal day-to-day life is actually not the case in DeFi and blockchain. The wallet is the key. So that's the thing that they have total control over.
So like in true DeFi fashion, anyone could potentially spun up a new cash websites, even if it's just on their local computer to interact with the app with their wallets. So I guess because like one of the main reasons or at least concerns that I've seen is like, yeah, it's all fine and fancy saying that it's decentralized, but truth be told, we're all interacting with the web UI. If the servers go down, then I'm stuck, So yeah, I have the custody, but if I cannot interact with the custody, then I'm screwed.
Good question. We are able to run these locally. We can, create any number of interfaces on any number of URLs. And that's a direct communication to the blockchain. So there's nothing in the middle there that's needed in order to do that. So, when we're testing locally, we are looking at this exact same data, and it's our local version that we are able to fire up. It doesn't rely on any backend servers for the business. So that's, that's always, been so great about this.
It gives a lot of confidence to people, definitely. Yeah. Actually, I also have a few questions. So you mentioned some light KRC, KYC, sorry, and it can scale depending on the amounts. I think we'll know the regulation by now, but will that be solely done through Transact? So all the information that the person is providing, it only goes to Transact, or does Kash receive some of that information to then, I don't know, facilitate some like the more transactions afterwards or something? Like, is it just Transact, or does Kash have something or not?
Another great question. Yeah, essentially that is a process with Transact, and we're working on another integration that will also use KYC from that particular provider. Our aim, our principle, our philosophy is to not store user information. So as much as possible, all of the serious stuff around user info, all those kinds of things, we want to avoid that. there are certain aspects of CRM that are built into this, and they are, other providers. But the general philosophy is to not store data as much as is reasonable and as possible. And so far, so good with that.
Yeah, I guess it's also a way to cover yourself from other expenses, legal expenses, etc. Because then, the government can knock on the door asking for like, hey, I want information for this, but you're like, yeah, sorry, I don't have any. Another one. So for savings, so one thing that I've come to love in in an application which I use a lot, I'm guessing you guys know of it, Revolut, is the vaults. So the saving vaults. So basically, I set up an objective, like I want to buy a new phone or a new TV, and every month I just put a few dollars over there, and that way I can segregate my savings. I can save for TV and the phone at the same time, but they are different amounts, so I can then prioritize them, etc. And with Anchor, what I've come to let's say dislike is that I don't have that possibility. So I have my own wallet, but if I want to segregate into objectives, I need to have multiple wallets, which is, of course, not optimal. Is this maybe planned in the roadmap or something for Kash?
Yeah, John, maybe you want to jump in there? Yeah,
absolutely. So there's definitely something in the roadmap, and we actually calculated that if you put 10,000 to Anchor, the interest earned on that would cover a lease on a Jeep Renegade, would cover your Netflix account, would cover your Xbox, gaming account, and have a few, $100 left over for entertainment. So the plan is actually to in the savings account to have subcategories, and people will be able to set up separate sub accounts, whether it's for paying for entertainment, paying for education, reserving funds for emergencies, whatever it is, for children's education, and have those sub accounts. And that would simply be, an interface, sort of a user experience way of organizing that information. So yeah, that's something that's definitely in the works.
Okay, that's great to hear. And just one last question. For mirror interactions, do you have like the full possibilities that you have on the mirror protocol, in the sense that you also enable after hours trading, so like on weekends, for example, or do you solely limit it to the usual hours of trading?
So it's the usual. It's unlimited hours. So this is a direct implementation of Mirror, and if it came out over time that was something that was needed or sensible to do, or people needed, but people can trade at any time on this, which is kind of the general philosophy of the crypto world anyways. It is 24/7. Exactly. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of interest with this, and I think this is going to be somewhere where we're going to get a lot of feedback from people around how far down the line would they like to go with this sort of trading, and how much functionality we would need to add and help them out with. There are quite a few things on the roadmap, and we take it step by step. But essentially, this is a really neat way to get exposure to these great products, and from that, we'll then be able to work with people and exactly where to take it from there.
You can buy stocks on the weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the price will obviously look stable, and you'll get some flat lines in the graphs. But essentially, there's nothing stopping anyone doing it, because it's not on the main exchange. It's the synthetic asset. And I think that's going to be interesting for people, being able to unlock that capability. That we're not held up. We're not held back by this 9-to-5 concept. It's insane to us now. So people should be able to do whatever they want. Whether the price is changing or not is different. But that's the benefit of having really good oracles that are controlling all those prices, is at least we know that at certain times that's exactly what the price should be.
Any kind of trading for a few days or even weeks will realize that sometimes the news come up on weekends on purpose.
Exactly. Right?
And then you're like, damn it, I want to buy it now. This is great news. Or the other way around.
Because there's a pop on Monday.
Well, I will actually also ask you if you also know this. Mirror V2 just launched a few days ago, and you can actually now take your AUSD, which isn't represented in the Kash app, but it's what you get when you deposit it on Anchor, and you can use it as collateral to mint assets on Mirror. So you can actually take advantage of the deposited money that you put on Anchor. So if you didn't know that,
Oh yeah, I did that last week. Yeah, I
Okay,
did that last week.
cool.
What's exciting is you have the core Terraform Lab team that is building a lot of these capabilities, right? And they're focused on smart contracts, making it work and everything, right? No, make sure there's no bugs or anything in it.
Yeah.
And then you have companies like Intellabridge that does a user interface that can spend time and sweat and tears
Yeah,
into making sure that it is a delightful human experience, so that
exactly.
you can say, hey, Anchor built the 20% interest or whatever. But with Intellabridge, now you can say, let's create subcategories, because you want that couch, I know you want that Netflix subscription, I
Yep.
know you want that car, and then we'll create a easy user interface for you to do something like that. And in that way, I view Intellabridge as a way to be responsive to the market, in knowing what are the market demands and the consumer demands, and in a very agile way reacting to that. And I think that's what's going to get broader adoption of crypto
For sure.
beyond the DeFi degenerates like you and me, right? So like my fiance and my mom, and like everyone else, right? So yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Terra's mission is really to bring crypto to the masses, and the very beginning of their mission with the Chai app is just it's just genius. I mean, people making payments without even knowing that they're handling crypto, without all the messiness of the wallets. Exactly, just like Craig was saying with Kash. That's definitely the way to go to bring mass adoption. And we all know what happens to Luna when there's mass adoption of USD. So
Yeah.
just like buying Apple shares when everyone is buying iPhones, so it's kind of the same deal. So yeah, definitely having Terraform Labs focus on the platform security, on the base features that then people can build on, so that they're building the foundations. It's definitely a really good way to bring stuff that people want to the market.
Agreed.
I just want to add real quickly that I am so happy that it's truly decentralized, as in you custody the assets yourselves. It is not held in a big central pool held by Intellabridge. There's so many companies, at least in the United States where I live in New York, that they say they're DeFi, but it's really like they pool a bunch of people's assets together and it's CeFi, and it's like you're just another bank at that point, right? But
Yeah.
To contrast that with saying Intellabridge and saying, no, you actually own the asset. We don't own it, right? It's not in our corporate bank account. It's in your account. We're simply a user interface overlay to make it easier for you to access it and to connect it with your local bank account to, transfer money from there, right? That just gives me so much more peace of mind, and like psychologically a sense of security in saying, I actually own these assets, right? I don't have to trust Intellabridge because I own the assets myself. And
Exactly.
like that is really great, and that's empowering. That's what DeFi is all about, right? That's the revolution that crypto is trying to create. And this is in the true ethos of that. So really excited to hear that the beta ended up still holding true to that.
Actually, about holding the assets ourselves, one of the, let's say, disadvantages of DeFi also, I mean, there's always pros and cons, right? With the traditional finance, you have a problem with your bank, you grab the fund and you can call them, and then they verify through your address or whatever that you are the actual person who's calling. Yeah, with any MetaMask, Terra Station wallet, etc., you lose your seed phrase, you lose absolutely everything. So I'm guessing Kash will bring some kind of user friendliness way to maybe restore some kind of access, but without compromising security. What's your strategy on that?
Yeah, very good question as well. So that we've solved by partnering with Taurus, and we're utilizing their system, which allows social logins to create the private key that's allowed to access the funds. So they have a very sophisticated network that splits that private key into different nodes, and it's only compiled at the runtime that the user's actually logging in. So it's brought in from multiple areas on the web
Mm-hmm.
and then put together for that exact session. And through that partner, the user is also able to work on recovering that private key. If there's ever a problem and they ever want to do something different with those funds, that private key exists in a different realm and can be recovered through that environment. But essentially, it is using social logins to make it really easy. And then there's a layer of multi-factor authentication that is part of that suite of security. There is the biometric capability, for example. But that is the general idea, is it's done in a way that has redundancy from the application point of view. If that private key needs to be recovered with the partner, that is something that can be done. And so then there's this capability to always, the funds are always safe, they can always be recovered.
Cool.
And Sergio is the administrator of all the Discord groups in the Terra ecosystem, right? Luna, Anchor, Mirror. So he reads on a weekly basis people complain about these things, or like they're worried about these things. So now you can say, well, like for people who are worried about that, like even people like me, right? I don't even trust myself. Like here's an alternative. I swear my mom has my keys. She has a copy. So like, now that there's an easier way in Intellabridge to do that without having to give all your information to your mom.
That is a very hard line to draw, right? I mean, the decentralization versus centralization. Obviously, decentralization has a lot of benefits people are really searching for, but as you had mentioned about MetaMask and such, the amount of personal responsibility placed on people. Everyone's heard the horror stories of, I typed in one key wrong and sent it to the wrong address. All these non-user-friendly interfaces have led to just a small mistake that turns devastating, right? So it's interesting to see how well you guys are actually capable of helping people avoid these small mistakes by making things incredibly user-friendly, onboarding them correctly, and then having systems in place to help them should something go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the general premise. That's the philosophy, is how do we make it so that non-professional people in the crypto world or regular people can actually interact with it and feel confident. So it is, presenting them with social logins to start off with. It has a little bit of multi-factor authentication, but from then it's something that they're used to. And so they don't have to worry about certain aspects of that complexity. If they can get into their Google login, they're away. But there are other capabilities. We've got a passwordless auth as well, which is on the roadmap. And that will then give them a true decentralization where there isn't any linkage to any other platform. It's purely, if you receive that email in your secure email, you can then access the system. So there's other ways of also just making that even more decentralized, which is on the plan.
The transfers and missing a character or a number or something. So will users have these like unique usernames that they can use to send funds to each other, or will you do it via phone numbers? I mean, what will you do as a like unique identifier of people so that they cannot make mistakes when transferring money to like the girlfriend or the mother or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is part of the plan, is to bring in a capability to then give people a way to have simple communication. So there is support within some of the products that we're using already, and it is something that is going to be more developed over time. But the idea is exactly that, is that is a key area that we want to do away with, putting in a long code and being worried that this is, again, one character auth, or it's completely different wallet. Sometimes they don't even protect you from that. It's actually a different format. So that is a key thing that is to be demystified and to be made easy, because we see it as a massive barrier. So it is part of what is actually ongoing in the background right now.